NFL Vice President of Football Operations Troy Vincent said today that one team has issued a proposal to ban the tush push for next season. Last offseason, Vincent said there wasn't enough sound reasoning to ban the play, but the league did create a rule requiring the pushers to start at least 1 yard behind the quarterback. Now, we're not sure which team actually proposed this ban. We're pretty sure it wasn't the Eagles or the Bills. The two teams have combined to run 163 tush pushes in the last 3 seasons, more than the rest of the NFL combined. Philly and Buffalo have scored a touchdown or gotten a first down on 87% of their tush pushes. The rest of the NFL has been successful on just 71%. Philly also scored, as you may recall, the first touchdown of the Super Bowl on a brotherly shove. Mina, Bill Cowher has said this is not a football play. Do you think it should be relegated out of the game?
No, I don't. I think the other teams should compete more, honestly. Like, there's a number of reasons why Philadelphia is so good at the tush push. One is that they have an incredibly strong quarterback in Jalen Hurts. They have a huge physical, strong offensive line. Of course, the reason for a lot of their success in recent years. But I think maybe the biggest reason, and our colleague Jason Kelsey has talked about this, Ryan, is they practice it constantly. There's like a level of attention to detail that's been worked out over the years, and they run it all the time. In fact, the only team that's run it anywhere close to them, as you highlighted, Hannah, there, is Buffalo, who, by the way, actually has a higher conversion rate on tush pushes than Philadelphia. But no other team has even invested in it. And I think that's what the other team should be doing, not trying to outlaw this play. I understand it was just one team. They should be trying to emulate it, because it appears to me that too many teams aren't even attempting to do it.
Also, too, how soft do you have to be? Oh, we can't stop it. Our defensive tackles aren't tough enough. Our linebackers get hurt. Shut the hell up and bow your neck. Somebody get physical and stop the play. And as Mina says, though, it's like everything else in sports. If you don't have the personnel to do it, you actually don't do it. Trust me, right? Whatever team Matthew Stafford plays for next year is not implementing the tush push. Don't even trip. Don't even worry about it. Don't practice it. It's about understanding who you're playing, practicing, getting in the right gap. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs went into the AFC Championship with an actual plan for the quarterback sneak, with a plan to stop Josh Allen. Not only did they stop a 2-point conversion, but they also stopped the 4th down attempt, depending on where you thought the football was. And so to me, to go in there and be like, instead of actually coaching, let's run away from coaching and try to outlaw this play, is dumb and it's soft. And to be honest, like when you look at the actual play and the way that they run it, it's actually more difficult for them to practice it, to do it the amount of times that they do. And unless it's a player health and safety decision, you don't take it out of the game.
It's so valuable, too. 27 touchdowns off that play over the last 3 years, more than the rest of the league combined. Yeah, just figure out how to stop it if you don't like it. Let's go to Dallas, where Stephen Jones said this to the Dallas Morning News today, and I quote, "You know, I think one of our goals is to get a young quarterback in the draft. I don't know where that's going to be. You know how much we think of Cooper. We just don't know what he's going to cost. And then what we're paying Dak, we're paying him. Unfortunately, we have to go cheap." Okay, I guess cheap equates rookie. Matt, I mean, where do you see the Cowboys selecting a quarterback in the draft?
You know, I would love for them to draft one in the 4th round, but they don't have a pick in round 4, which is where I think we're going to see a lot of the backup start to come off the board. What's interesting is they have 4 picks in round 5, excuse me. So maybe we see them package some of those comp picks in round 5. But I think Alabama's Jalen Milroe would fit what they've kind of looked for. Remember, they traded for Trey Lance, who is such a great athlete at quarterback coming out of North Dakota State. He was the number 3 overall pick by the 49ers. Couldn't get on the field there, replaced by Brock Purdy. We know that story, right? But Milroe's going to give you a lot of the same things that Trey Lance did. He has a good arm to throw the deep ball, but he is a dynamic runner. I mean, scouts have said he could run in the low 4.4s if we see a time on him at the NFL Scouting Combine this week. He is a fantastic runner. He needs some work as a passer, but behind Dak Prescott, he's going to have that time to maybe develop and clean up some of the technique issues that he has, especially in his lower body right now as a passer.
I think what's interesting is if I were the Cowboys, and it's, you talk about, Milroe is the ability, all that stuff. I think I would get away from the Trey Lance model of, oh my gosh, amazingly gifted athlete. Like, let's try to see if we can make him a better quarterback. I think they need someone who can play the position. It's why they like Cooper Rush. It's why Cooper Rush has actually been a really good Dallas Cowboy, is that it wasn't just the physical skills that were any good for Cooper Rush. It was the fact that he could play the position. And so I think what's going to be interesting is there are players, and Matt can speak to it probably better than I can, but there are players at the quarterback position whose evaluation is going to be all over the map. Kyle McCord, Tyler Shuck, it's good. Like, some people are going to be in love with them, think that they can play early, and there are going to be other people that think they will fall. And so I think with that, the Dallas Cowboys really probably need to be patient and pick where they can.
By the way, the last quarterback they drafted was Ben DiNucci in the 7th round in 2020, one NFL start. All right, still to come, the Vikings in the NFL. Just by way of reference, here is a look at the highest paid players in NFL history. No surprise, they're all quarterbacks. Just 2 of the top 11 signed their deal at age 32 or older. Aaron Rodgers at age 38. The Packers back in 2022. Russell Wilson at age 33 to the Broncos that same year. And as you know, they have both moved on from those teams. RC, I'm curious what you think of how Les Snead and the Rams are handling this situation.
I think Les Snead and the Rams are handling this situation correctly. Obviously, if Matthew stays in Los Angeles next year, you're going to have to redo his deal. But how much do you redo his deal for? So it's just a way of saying, hey, man, we appreciate you. We really like you, but we don't love you like that. Go see what you can go out and get. And if he garners a ton of assets on the market, if they can get players in return, well, then Les Snead and Sean McVay will look to move forward with that. But let's say the trade value isn't high. Let's say he doesn't have talks about getting a certain type of contract that he would want on the open market, or if he is traded for. Now Les Snead and Sean McVay can negotiate from that position of power or from that position of understanding. I think it's an excellent way to show respect to your older quarterback, to give him that opportunity, and to also possibly switch things into your favor in negotiations if that's the next step.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, RC, because I actually do think the Rams would like to have Matthew Stafford back. But because kind of what Hannah alluded to about, all these quarterbacks that are making all this money, very few of those contracts, get signed after the age of 32, or in this case, 37 years old. And so, Matthew Stafford's a bit of a unicorn in that sense of, look, he's 37, but the physical skills on him really haven't diminished much. And he still can play at a high level because of that. You look at some other guys around his age. Russell Wilson doesn't move the way he once did. Like, it changes. And so, trying to figure out what the market is dictating, I think is difficult. And so the way you do it is exactly this. And it is polite, to RC's point. But it also maybe is the pathway to get a deal with his current team. I would just say this, though, which is, and Hanny brought it up, his representation. Guess what? It's the same group that represents Sam Darnold. So the hottest quarterback on the market in free agency, and then the guy that would be as sought after, who's under contract, who could be available, being rep by the same person. There's going to be a lot of information that they have, and I think ultimately it's going to end up giving Matthew Stafford a lot of power in this process.
I don't know. I also could see where you're going there. I mean, Matthew Stafford has played in a dome his whole career for his home games. The Vikings play in a dome. I mean, who knows? All sorts of possibilities. But Mina, is there a landing spot that you think makes the best sense for a trade in this case?
If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I am on the phone every day with the Rams, seeing if that's a possibility for them. Ever since they were eliminated in the playoffs, we have had the conversation, how does this team, Pittsburgh, improve at quarterback so they can compete with the likes of Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson in their own division? there was no path. I mean, it's been a frustrating conversation because there really aren't options in free agency that put them there. They're not picking high in the draft. And even if they were, I don't think they would be able to really compete with those teams anyways. Matthew Stafford is a path, which isn't to say he's on the same tier, obviously, as those two quarterbacks. But we have seen at his high end, and you saw that at the very, very end of the season, those final two drives against Philadelphia, he can throw it as well as anyone. This is not a Ben Roethlisberger situation, pardon me, where the arm strength is declining. His arm is as strong as it's ever been. And I think for a team in Pittsburgh that has just been facing this wall over and over, year after year, this would be a way for them to get over that wall.
Yeah, they only have the 21st pick in the draft, as you mentioned. It just feels like the Rams will become a worse team the minute Matthew Stafford walks out the door. If that.
Hey there, Cowboys Nation. It's time to talk about a move that could shake things up big time in Dallas. Imagine this, Stefon Diggs lining up alongside CeeDee Lamb, catching dimes from Dak Prescott. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, it could actually happen. But is it the right move for the Cowboys? Let's break it all down. First things first, Stefon Diggs is an absolute game changer. We're talking about a guy who has put up 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He's got elite route running, hands as reliable as they come, and the ability to make jaw-dropping plays when it matters most. And let's not forget, he's already got some Cowboys connections. His brother, Trayvon Diggs, is a lockdown corner for America's team, and he has history with our new passing game specialist, Ken Dorsey, from their time together in Buffalo. The fit is there. But here's the thing. Dallas is going through some changes on offense. Brian Schottenheimer is stepping in as head coach, and he's bringing a new mindset with him. He wants physicality. He wants balance. The Cowboys aren't just going to air it out all game. They're going to emphasize the run game, control the clock, and play smash-mouth football. So, does adding a 32-year-old wide receiver coming off an ACL injury really fit that vision? And yeah, we gotta talk about the elephant in the room. Diggs is coming off a torn ACL. That's no small injury. At his age, can he return to being that WR1 caliber player? History tells us some guys bounce back strong, while others struggle to regain their explosiveness. Before committing major cap space to him, Dallas would need to be absolutely sure he can stay on the field and produce at a high level. Speaking of cap space, it's not cheap to bring in a guy like Stefon Diggs. Spotrac projects he could command around $13 million per year. That's a hefty price tag, especially considering the Cowboys' other needs. Do they go all in on a veteran WR2, or do they use that money to strengthen other areas, maybe the offensive line, defensive depth, or even locking up younger talent for the future? Let's also not forget, Dallas already has some pieces in place. CeeDee Lamb is a legit superstar. Brandon Cooks, while set to be a free agent, was a reliable weapon last season. And then there's the young guys, Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, who are still developing. Should the Cowboys invest in what they already have, or bring in another proven playmaker? And here's another angle. What about the NFL draft? This year's WR class is deep. The Cowboys could snag a young, talented wideout on a rookie deal instead of paying big money for Diggs. But that also comes with its own risks. Rookies take time to develop, and there's no guarantee they'll become an instant impact player like Diggs could be. Now, let's be real. When Diggs is on the field, he's electric. We've seen him make legendary plays. He's proven he can shine in big moments. And let's not ignore the fact that having him and Trayvon Diggs on the same team, that would be one of the best family duos in the league. But let's also be honest, this is Jerry Jones we're talking about. He's not one to break the bank in free agency unless he's absolutely convinced it's the right move. And with the Cowboys needing to be smart with their cap space, it's not a guarantee that they'll go after Diggs, especially with his age and injury history. So now, Cowboys Nation, I want to hear from you. Would you want the Cowboys to sign Stefon Diggs? Do you think he'd be the missing piece to take this offense to the next level? Or would you rather see Dallas invest in a younger, cheaper option? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Cowboys. Until next time, stay loud, stay proud, and go Cowboys!